Hello and welcome to AGT Time, here again to talk about live shows, specifically week 2 of quarterfinals. I'm Cody Mims. Here, as always, is Cody Patterson.
Well, this is a total eclipse of a podcast.
Absolutely. I was traveling for the eclipse this week, so I was kind of behind on the show, but we've got it all watched up now, ready to roll. What would you rate this episode?
Well, I wasn't looking as forward to this episode as I was last week, but after watching it, I kind of liked what I watched here, except for a couple of things, which we'll get into just because there's a couple acts that I just don't like anyway. But I think for the most part, I would probably give it an A. I actually turned out enjoying it more than I thought I would.
Wow. That's quite the surprise. I probably, unfortunately, am not able to go as high on this one. I think I would give this one a B minus. I thought there were a lot of boring acts and many mishaps and awkward moments.
Yeah, I'm overlooking the technical difficulties, as Tyra kept calling it, and just looking at the acts themselves. But we'll get into all that.
Yeah. So the first act was Brobots and Mandroids. I gotta say, I think the disapproving parent story has kind of worn out its welcome.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It was kind of an interesting package where they say they have to sneak, or they had to sneak around in order to practice, so that their parents didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. What did you think of the act?
I actually liked the act. I think I've kind of liked them the last couple of times that we watched them. I actually thought it was better than what Just Jerk did last week. It is a little bit bigger group. They seem to be more synchronized. It's a little more precision. And the stage looked really cool with fire. They had some fire. They had some spinning fireworks going. So I really enjoyed this.
Well, good. I was kind of thinking maybe this was better live because I, like Howie, wasn't really getting a wow out of this, but I don't know.
No, I think Howie was the only one that did not get it. Everyone else seemed to really enjoy it, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So Celine Tam was on next, who I have her in my draft. Is that correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay. So yeah, I thought her stage presence is cute, and her singing was okay. What did you think?
Actually, she sang "When You Believe" by Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. I think they each kind of sang a version of this, but it's from the movie The Prince of Egypt. The stage looked really cool. It kind of had this old castle look. It had some vines kind of growing everywhere. I didn't feel it was her best performance. She did sound like she was having some trouble with some of the low notes, and she sounded like she was off at certain points. It didn't feel as natural as it did. It felt like it was really forced in this one. I kind of enjoyed it. There were some problems with it, but I still like her. I think she's really, really good.
Yeah. Well, that's a good critique. A lot of the singers tonight didn't really wow me, so yeah, she was one of them. But next up we had Mirror Image. The judges kind of, I wasn't sure what they were doing on this. They they I think they stood up when the dancing started, and Simon was like waving his hands in the air. Did you see any of that?
I did. I thought that was really, really weird to do it. I couldn't figure out what they were wearing. I thought the singing was actually, I've been hating on these guys since the beginning, but I thought their singing was actually decent this time. Now, Simon even said the singing wasn't great. The dancing is awful. I didn't mind the singing. I actually thought it was a little bit better this time. The dancing is still awful, and they danced to Poison and Jump, Jump. So, they did get a buzz. Now, did Simon buzz them, even though he was standing up kind of dancing to them?
I think it was just Mel and Heidi that stood up, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. Heidi was was keeping him from buzzing. She was restraining him until the end, which I wish he hadn't buzzed at the end. That doesn't seem like great judge form, but yeah, I was not. I thought this was not their night. Mirror Image. I guess I feel kind of the opposite of you. I thought their singing was so much worse for some reason, and the dancing was not silly enough. So it was just. I'm kind of like Simon, I guess, wondering what this is supposed to be. It did not have the magic that their other performances did.
Yeah, Simon hasn't figured out that this is basically a high school talent show.
Yeah,
That's what this act is.
yeah. And it was super awkward with Howie trying to set up Mel with them. That was just one of many weird moments.
Yes, that was super creepy. And even Tyra pointed out, how old are you? And they're like 16. So yeah, that was not the only time this happened tonight. But it was super, super creepy.
Yeah, and then Tyra said they got 3 no X's, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah. I also noticed that one of them like put their hand on their ear. Don't they typically do that when they're trying to figure out a pitch? Or is that
I
just
guess
kind of
so,
a
yeah.
Okay, I thought like singers did that when they're trying to figure out a pitch, but they have monitors in their ears, so they should be able to hear those pitches just fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
This whole thing was just bad. I mean, I say the singing was decent. That's not AGT quality decent. This whole thing was just bad.
Yeah, I unfortunately agree. But next up was Johnny Manuel, who I just thought was boring. What did you think?
We've heard now the same story 3 times, that he was on a record label, he sang with some big time singers, and then he got dropped. So we haven't heard anything new. He did sing a Jennifer Hudson song from Dreamgirls. He is very animated while he sings, and I kind of like that. He moves around a lot. He doesn't just stand there. His voice sounded a little bit richer this time than the last time. You know, the judge cut was just not very good, and we talked last time that he should not have gotten that golden buzzer because he got the second chance for basically singing his audition. So basically he's only really sang 2 songs. He sang his audition and he sang this. But he does act like he's been there before. He has stage presence. Again, it's another one of the things that I kind of enjoyed it tonight. For some reason, I really, really enjoyed this episode. This was another performance that I really enjoyed. I also noticed that they were putting all the singers, like, they elevated all the singers. Literally and figuratively, they elevated them. So it's like they were putting them up on pedestals. Like, hey, look, we have singers. Bow down to our singers.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you have a lot to say about him because I've basically said all I have.
Okay. I did think he did a better job than Celine Tam, though.
Yeah.
So.
This was not Tyra's night either. She gave a bad question to Celine. She was real awkward with Mirror Image. And then here she forgot Lin-Manuel Miranda's name, and Johnny thought that she was talking to him. So just a lot of turbulence.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed that. She did seem really off the whole night.
Yeah. Americano, or Hannah, I guess it's pronounced, was on next. And I have to say, it sounds like all of his songs are by the same artist. Not much musical variety there.
The only thing I have to say is, was he on? Because I spent the entire performance watching the screen behind him. I thought that was way more entertaining.
Right. The focus was not on his dancing this round.
No. It's like there wasn't even a light on him. He was dark, and everything that was going on was on the screen behind him.
Yeah, I agree. It was not very balanced, but I still I don't know. I still think it's bad. What do you think? Did you like him?
I think he's bad too, and that's what I'm saying. I wasn't even watching him. I was watching what was going on behind him. because
Yeah.
I don't think he's very good. I know there's a lot of people out there that really like him. That's fine. That's great. I don't wish any ill will on him. I wish all the best for him, but I don't enjoy watching him. I don't really think he's that good.
Yeah. I think Howie made a joke about him and Merrick being the only ones not wearing low-cut tops, which
Yes.
was very confusing. That was not, that was a terrible joke.
Yes.
And
The only thing more terrible than that was he got a standing ovation from Simon.
oh, did Tyra call Simon Mr. Man?
Yes, she did. She's calling him what? Papa and Mr. Man, and I think she's even called Howie something, and she's called like I think Heidi or Mel B like her boo, or I mean she's just got like all kinds of nicknames for the judges.
Yeah, Mr. Man seems like one of the more inexplicable ones.
Yeah, it's really weird night for Tyra and the way the judges are interacting with especially the kids.
Yeah. So Eric Jones on next. He had this package where he talked about his dad and stuff, and it kind of seemed like AGT just said to him, "Hey, you want to go visit his grave?" Because he was standing at his father's grave for one part of it. So, yeah. What did you think of Eric Jones?
When he finished, I was thinking we finally have a good magician on the show. I think they commented that he was slow and that he took a while to do stuff, but I actually really enjoyed this. He did have a theme. He went with passing things through glass, but he does need to kind of pick up the pace a little bit. It just seems to draw it out, but I think a lot of that was Howie making jokes, just like throwing him off his rhythm. But I really enjoyed this. Simon said he needs to work on his showmanship. I think that's a fair point, but I really liked this performance.
Yeah, I agree. I know he was going as slow as he could, but the whole thing was just too slow. I liked the part where he went through the glass the best. I thought that was a very cool ending. Like, oh, you didn't notice? I'm through the glass now.
Yeah, he kind of built it up. He started with a small piece of glass, and then he went up to the bigger one, and he just kept building up on it, which I thought was a really, really good idea.
Yeah, yeah. So that's pretty much all I have to say on him, I guess. I liked it. I didn't get to vote this week, but I probably would have tossed him some votes.
Good.
So the Masqueraders were on next, and I knew what Mel was gonna say before she said it. Overproduced. Do you agree with that?
Not really. I thought it was fine. We did, after they sang and I was working on my Spotify playlist for America's Got Talent songs that they've covered this year. I went and looked theirs up, and guess what? This is their song. I'm just an average guy. It came up on Spotify as the Masqueraders. I listened to a little bit of it. It sounded just like them, only 50 years ago, which I thought was really cool. But they made a big deal that this was the first time that they've gotten to perform it, or that it's been recorded. But I was able to find it on Spotify really easily, so I'm not sure what's going on there. As far as their performance, I love these guys. I think they do a great job. I love that they sing these older songs, and now they're singing their own songs. I think this is great.
Yeah, that song did get stuck in my head a little bit. Just an average guy. But, I do think it was overproduced. I thought the whole performance was a little bit boring. Heidi said it was better late than never, which reminded me of that hit television show that aired after last season, Better Late Than Never. Turns out it got renewed for season 2. So,
did it really? So we get to see Captain Kirk again, huh?
Those first 4 episodes just tore it up, I guess.
Now, you talk about that they pretty much do the same thing, or that it's boring. Now, these are old guys. These are guys in their 70s, so they really can't move around the stage. They pretty much stand there, sing their song, harmonize real well, say yeah a bunch. But if you're expecting them to kind of dance around the stage, I don't think we're going to see much of that.
No, I mean, it was kind of disappointing. I did like their last performances. I was looking forward to seeing this, but this was, I mean, kind of like American the Screen. I mean, it's you listen to the backing track a lot, seeing this performance. I kind of wish it had been more like their last ones. I didn't think their harmonies were as good this time.
Okay, it's fair.
Light balance up next. Technical issues, but I gotta say this is still a blast.
Yes, this is great. I'm sad that we really didn't get to see the live performance. This was the first of a couple of technical issues on the show. They didn't actually get to perform. It was really weird that they were able to record and show their. They had it ready. The rehearsal the dress rehearsal from earlier in the day. So it was really weird that they had that available on the fly. And they knew immediately that there was a problem. So I'm not sure what happened there. They just said something with the production. They weren't able to transmit the light. But still, even watching the recording, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been even better seeing the dress rehearsal because they didn't cut away to any reactions.
That is true. We got to see the whole performance. They didn't show the judges. They didn't show anybody in the audience. They kind of just showed the whole performance. That's a very good point.
Yeah, so that was nice, but I mean, really, really good performance. It feels like everyone is exactly where they're supposed to be. It's so cool seeing all the surprises that happen when their lights come on.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the top favorite acts. This is one of the top acts of the season.
Yeah. Certainly one of my favorites.
Absolutely.
Evie Claire was on next. What did you think of her?
Now, she sang Wings by Birdie, and I'm not familiar with this song. I love that she used the keyboard this time. So they took a page from the Christian Guardino recommendation and put her at the keyboard. When she's singing, she always sounds like she's about to break down crying, which, I think... it would be valid if she did, considering what she's going through with her dad. But I really enjoyed this. This was, having her play the piano and sing, and the way that she can sing. I thought this was great.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent performance, but I don't know. She didn't really wow me this time. Last performance, she really pulled me in a way that I wasn't getting this time. I don't know if it was the song or what, but I don't know. I wasn't feeling it with Evie Claire this time.
Okay.
The judges were blown away by this, though. I mean,
yes,
Howie even had something meaningful to say.
Right. And, they were pretty much blown away by quite a bit tonight. I mean, there was very little criticism as far as the performances went.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did find out her dad was at home, that he wasn't strong enough to travel, even though it was her parents' 20th wedding anniversary. So, still prayers going out to her family and her dad.
Yes, absolutely. So Demian, as Tyra says it, for some reason I can't get these names. I guess I haven't learned to trust Tyra's pronunciation yet. But Demian Aditya was on next, and when he started this, I was thinking, oh my god, is it the same trick that he's done 2 times prior? And I mean, it kind of was thematically, although I don't know how he did this one.
He kind of combined them. So
Yeah.
he took the box that he was in the ground and raised it up high. So it was kind of both acts in one. Again, we had more technical difficulties where the box was supposed to drop, but then it got caught on something. So I'm not sure what happened there. And Tyra keeps coming out and saying that there's technical difficulties and it's not the performer's fault and to judge them. But the performance itself was just bad. It was also nice that the wife wasn't around. That would have made it even worse. So I'm not really sure where she was. But this whole thing was just bad. There was a lot of downtime waiting to figure out what happened. So.
Yeah, it was bad, but I have to admit I did love it. Last time in Judge's Cuts, I love this act because it it was just downright hilarious to me how he fooled the judges doing the exact same thing that he had done before. So I wasn't sure, if I was going to like this one, but I mean, this was an incredible payoff. It was a perfect extension of his last performance. It was absolutely hilarious. I mean, Mel hits the buzzer, and then Demian just casually strolls up behind them and sets off the fire extinguisher. And then Howie was like reaching peak Howie Mandel again, going nuts. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so beautiful. I think I would have voted for this if I had voted this week. It was everything that I was hoping for out of Demian and more. I know it's so stupid, but I loved it.
That's crazy. If I were to give this act a grade, I would give it an incomplete. Because there was no payoff. There was nothing. We didn't see the box fall like it was supposed to. The whole middle part of the act was just missing. So I would just consider this an incomplete act.
Yeah, that's fair. So a lot of mayhem. I was wondering if they were going to edit this, because I actually did see this act live, but I think you said they didn't really change it up in the end.
No, you asked me about that. I looked for some edits, and I didn't really see anything edited very well, unless they edited it so well that it looked very natural. But it seemed like everything was there. They had there was a big pause in the middle where trying to figure out what was going on, and then at the end, Mel B's throwing water on Simon. They left all that stuff in, so
okay.
I'm not sure if they did any editing. I didn't notice it.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
So that was a highlight for me. But next up was the Pompeo family dogs. I was quite bored by this, but what did you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. The song choice was just awful.
Mm-hmm.
Roar by Katy Perry. It just did not fit at all. They did go with a safari theme, which, of course, they're going with their themes now. But it's starting to feel like it's the same tricks the dogs are doing. They did add one new trick that I noticed was different, and that was the dogs picked up one of those, looked like those rings that you would kind of use for croquet, like those giant rings. They kind of picked those up with their mouths, which seem new, but everything else still seems like it's the same act.
Yeah. So that is a shame, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have voted for this.
Yeah, unless you're Simon and you say the dogs just saved America's Got Talent.
Right.
Now, I did like that they put a little camera on the Jeep that one of the dogs pushed. Now, that was kind of cool because you got down on the dog level. So, I don't know if you got that experience in the show, but at least at home, we got to see, a dog view, I guess.
Yeah. So then we got to see Mandy Harvey, and Simon just looked stressed out in all the lead up to this, but I really liked this performance. Did you feel the same way?
Now, this was Simon's golden buzzer, so he is kind of stressed out on this because he's pretty much put all his eggs in this basket. Now, she sang one of her own originals again, Mara's song, another one that I found on Spotify. I kind of enjoyed this. Tyra asked her at the very end if the song meant something, and she mentioned that it was for her cousin's wedding, something along those lines. But this was all right. I didn't feel like it was great. So, I don't know. Simon says that she'll make a difference. I'm not sure she will. We'll see what she does in the next round.
Okay, well, this one did pull me in for sure. I thought it was very sweet, very impressive still, and also very pleasant. So I was very happy with it, and I completely forgot that she wrote this song, but that makes it so much better.
You and I are all over the board when it comes to this show.
I know. That's what keeps us fresh, I guess.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
I also thought they shouldn't show her interpreter so much, because interpreters are kind of just not really supposed to be part of conversations. They're just kind of supposed to bridge the gaps between two people. So I don't know. They kind of made a big deal out of her cutting away to the interpreter a lot, I thought.
That's a valid point, because when you're talking to someone that is using an interpreter, you're not supposed to direct the interpreter. You're supposed to direct the person you're actually talking to. So you're right. The interpreter is not supposed to be visible, I guess, quote, visible. in any of this. So it seems like every week they seem to talk about her or direct her, something of that nature.
Yeah. So I would have voted for Mandy as well, but that's it for our performances. If you're ready to talk about the results.
Yes, let's get into results. I'm excited about this.
Okay, so they start with the montage, as they always do, sort of a recap, I guess. It looked like the audience had 3D glasses or something for light balance. Did you notice that?
I did notice that. I didn't understand why, but maybe surely they didn't hand those out when they had to show the dress rehearsal. Surely they needed those for the actual live performance, which they didn't get to use them. So I'm not sure what that was about. But Tyra mentioned that production had trouble presenting the light or projecting the light or something. So maybe those 3D glasses were for something along those lines. I just want to say I really like these montages that they do at the beginning of the results show. Mm-hmm. I kind of like seeing behind the scenes type stuff and reactions from after the perform they've gone off the stage, or even comments that judges are making to each other that are not part of the performance show. I really kind of like this first 5 to 7 minutes of montage.
I do too. They're always great.
Yeah.
First result, as always, is who's in the Duncan save.
Yeah.
So this week we had Eric, Evie, and the Masqueraders. Out of this, I would probably vote for Eric.
See, I'm kind of opposite for you. I probably would have voted for the Masqueraders. Of these three, I felt Eric was probably the weakest.
Okay.
In my opinion.
I was thinking that the Masqueraders would probably get the Duncan save, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Our first real result was Robots and Mandroids versus Light Balance. And I was definitely wanting Light Balance out of this, and I was predicting that they would go through, even though they were kind of making a big deal out of their technical errors.
No, of these two, Light Balance was definitely the better act. Both were fantastic, but Light Balance was the much better act. I was predicting them to go through as well, and I'm glad that they did.
Yeah. So after that, Mandy Harvey and the Pompeo family, I was wanting Mandy, and I thought it would be her, and it was. And I also never realized that there were only 3 people in the Pompeo family, but there's only one kid up there.
You never noticed that before? There's only the one girl?
No, the way they always have these family acts, it's always like 1 million kids. So
oh, okay.
I just never noticed, I guess, all those dogs running around.
Yeah, some of those dogs probably look like little kids, but yeah, it's just the mom, the dad, and her. Up to this point, I was thinking, boy, they are pretty much putting the big dog against the little dog. Not, frankly speaking here with dog family, but up to this point, I was pretty much sure America's getting it right. They're definitely no upsets up to this point.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I was pretty happy with America again this week too, for the most part, which is, it's interesting to see after disagreeing with the judges in pretty major ways in prior rounds. But after that, we saw a performance by Circus 1903, which I thought was pretty amazing and quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I got to see a little bit of this. I didn't get to see the whole thing. I saw about the second half of it. It was really cool. It's just old school type circus acts, jugglers. I did make a comment. It seems like we've seen every one of these type acts on AGT at some point in time.
Yeah.
I really liked the elephants as well. People in elephant costumes. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was hard to see the people in there, but it was interesting seeing that move across the stage. It reminded me of a certain cat from season 8. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yes, I do.
So that was interesting. And after Circus 1903, we saw Johnny Manuel and Demian Aditya. And gotta be honest, I was wanting Demian from this, but I did think it was gonna be Johnny, which it eventually was.
Yeah, I'm glad it was Johnny. I was ready for Demian to go. I've just not enjoyed his magic acts. I just don't think they've been very good. It was nice that the wife was not around for this to be over dramatic about how he's going to die. So I'm glad of these two that Johnny went through.
Yeah. So then we saw Americana, Mirror Image, and Celine Tam. And I was wanting Celine from this, but I was kind of wondering, like, are they going to do, like, a threefer? Because I couldn't see them sending home both Merrick and Celine. But
Yeah, I was curious about this as well because when they announced, I guess they announced Celine first, right?
yeah.
And that and I was so excited. I was I was at work and I almost was jumping up and down because Merrick Hanna and Mirror Image were both going home. And then Tyra comes on and says, "Oh, we still got one more to pick." And I'm like, no, one of them still going through." So it is Merrick Hanna that goes through, and so Mirror Image is going back to high school, go back to their high school talent shows, and enjoy their popularity while they can.
Yeah, I probably would have taken them over Americana, but that's fine. We gotta filter these acts out at some point, I guess.
Yeah, I was hoping that if they announced Merrick Hanna and Mirror Image were both going home, then that would mean that all three Duncan saves would get to stay, which I would much rather have that. So.
Yeah. So then we did get the Duncan save up next, and Evie was a pretty clear winner in that. And then the judges made their calls. Is there anything you'd like to say about this?
Well, I just want to first say that at one point, Evie was way in the lead with like 46%. So it was pretty much clear that she was gonna get that. But yeah, I am almost done with judge picks on this show. It is ridiculous now. It is just beyond insane what these judges do when it comes to their picks. Because, I don't really like using this word. It's a very strong word to use. But these judges are on the verge of being cowards. Because they don't want to pick... They don't want to be the one that sends one of these acts home. They want it to be a tie. They want it to go to America. They're trying to add the suspense. They don't want to be the bad guy. So almost every week, I think we've seen of all the judge picks from the last couple of seasons, I think one time it's not gone to America. And then this week it definitely goes to a tie. Howie says that he was going to pick Variety, when for me, I think that, he said he's going with Variety and not the better act, for one thing. Mel B I think it was Mel B also that picked Eric Jones. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
And she gave some excuse for picking him, and I can't remember what it was, but it was pretty much just, I'm going to pick him because of this other reason and not because he was the better act. But this really should have clearly been a 4-0 vote, either one way or the other. I think it should have been a 4-0 vote to the Masqueraders, never have gone to America. And I think the judges need to quit. They need to actually get rid of this judge picks thing. We're not going to go back to 3 judges. I know that where it's an odd number. We're going to stick with 4, and we're always going to end in tie in this. And I just think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it kind of seemed to me like they all, felt kind of equally about these acts, though. Like, I didn't get the impression that, they were picking another one for this other reason or whatever.
Well, Howie flat out said he's going with Variety. He said that, so.
Yeah, but it seemed like that was more of a tiebreaker, but I don't know. I guess I see what you're saying. Like, it's every week after week it's another tie, so maybe they are kind of afraid of sending people home when they don't have to. So I see what you're saying with that.
I don't know. It's just so frustrating.
Yeah. So that's how we cap off week 2, I guess.
Yeah. So Eric Jones is going through to the next round. So I don't know if anybody got that, but Eric Jones is going through. Talk about our teams real quick before we move on to next week's stuff.
Okay, how are we doing?
Okay, so this week you lost the Masqueraders and the Pompeo family. So you've still got... so you're actually done until semifinals. Next week I have Colin Cloud, Diavolo, Angela Green, and Chase Goring. So at this point in time, you're actually leading 6-5, but I have a chance to get 4 more points next week.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you don't have any more acts the rest of this round.
Okay. Weird. So, yeah, looking ahead to next week, the full list of performers is Angelina Green, Chase Goring, Colin Cloud, Danelle Damon and Greater Works, Diavolo, Final Draft, Junior and Emily, Ketchy, Mike Young, Oscar Hernandez, Oscar and Gasper, and Sarah and Hero. And I guess there's some news in these because Oscar and Gasper are definitely being wild carded, and I think Final Draft are as well. Is that right?
Final Draft. They must be, because we didn't have them on our list.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about wild card predictions before. So Oscar and Gasper are coming back. I'm not particularly excited about that because I was not loving them the first time, but I don't know. How do you feel about this lineup?
I think that each week it's kind of got a little bit weaker. Obviously, the first week was the strongest. Angelina Green, I'm excited about. Colin Cloud, I'm obviously excited about. Greater Works, Diavolo. I'm not excited about Final Draft or Junior and Emily. Ketchy might be pretty good. Mike Young, I'm not a big fan of his, or Oscar. Either Oscar. I'm not sure why they brought back Oscar and Gaspar. I'm not sure what more they can do. And then Sarah and Hero. I don't feel real good about that one. So I'm going to go ahead and say right now the top 7 are probably going to be Angelina, Chase, Colin, Greater Works, Diavolo. 1, 2, 3, that's 5. Ketchy, and somebody else. So somebody's going to be vying for that seven spot, and I'm not sure who else it's going to be. But I'd say the top 6 is probably, unless someone just blows it or has some sort of technical difficulty, I have a feeling the top 6 is probably pretty much a given.
Yeah, sounds pretty solid. But yeah, I agree. There's really nothing that excites me on this list here. But
yeah, the only things that really excite me, Colin Cloud and Diavolo, those are one of my two of my favorites. So I'm excited to see them.
Yeah. Well, we will be here to cover that next week. Until then, if you want to follow us on Twitter or tweet us any feedback, you can at AGT Time. If you want to send us email about what the glasses that people were putting on are, it's agtcast@gmail.com. And if you want to like us on Facebook, you can at AGTcast. A lot of subscribers on YouTube joining because of our Nick Cannon video. I don't know how many of them are listening, but hello, if you want to subscribe to us on YouTube, there's a link somewhere. I don't know, search us.
Yeah, as Grace would say, just go out and find us.
Yeah, but that is all for me this week. You got any final words?
I do see where we're going to get Matt Franco as a guest next week.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, so I don't know anything about him. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.